Hey everyone, how about some quickling, aka quick pickles? Hey everyone, welcome to the Radical Geek YouTube channel, and today I'm going to take you through a quick pickle. I've got a couple things here, and I know these don't look great because of the green screen, but trust me, it's delightful asparagus. I've already trimmed the ends to the size to fit in my jar, and I want you to know with the asparagus, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put them in your jars with the fuzzy head side down. And that's because then once it's done pickling and you get your little tongs in there, they're much easier to take out. So first of all, what's quick pickling? Quick pickles are a way of using a brine solution to pickle your vegetables. They're not quite as intense as a canned pickle, which we can talk about another time. We will make some this summer. But they are actually really tasty. They've got that high electrolyte. They're not as likely to develop botulism because you stick them in your fridge. And they are a little bit crunchier than your average pickle because they don't go through that boiling process that happens in the canning. It's also super quick and easy to make, as I'm about to demonstrate for you. And you can basically pickle just about anything, really. From tomatoes. Now, we'll tell you tomatoes will break down pretty quick. So you have to plan on a couple days in the fridge and then eating them up pretty quickly. But other quick pickles will last a good long time and get that nice, delicious snap. I've got here radish, and you can see that I've cut it already. This is a red daikon radish that I got, and that will be important to keep in mind because we'll talk about that in a couple days when we look at some ketofied kimchi. But so you can see though that they're cut really thin, and because it's daikon, it's in these little triangles. But and you can see they're all in those little triangles, and that's because the daikon radish is about this big around and it's about this long and tubular. So I wanted it to fit more nicely in my jar. So what I also have here that I have already sterilized my jars, I've got the large mason jars. This one is by Atlas. This one is by Ball. If you start doing canning or pickling or things like that, eventually you'll wind up with an assortment, especially if you swap and trade with other people. And that's awesome. It's great. And at the same time, I also get the jars and lids. So the lids are what create the seal. It has like this little silicone around it, and then this is really what holds the lid down, although the heat from the liquid will heat it up. And yes, I will put all of the information down below in the description. And before we get too far in, we will do the quick YouTube stuff. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And then hit the little bell icon so you're notified every time I upload or go live. Now, the good news is I'm most of the time pretty regular about Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we host our live stream on Sunday, which I affectionately call Coffee Talk because we usually brew a warm beverage. Most of the time it's a coffee beverage. And then I give like a little geekification about it. If possible, sometimes that's not possible or we've already gone over it. And then we basically chat amongst ourselves, have a nice time, and I will, most of the time we'll share a ketogenic recipe, much like I'm doing today. So that's like the whole rundown, and now we can get back to this quick pickle. Quick pickles, it is 50-50 water and vinegar. A lot of recipes will tell you to use distilled white vinegar. I'm going to tell you I like to use apple cider vinegar. I especially like the Bragg's with the mother in the bottom, but you don't got to be that particular about it with the pickles. Almost tongue-tied myself. Um, I like it because it's a little sweeter. If you want, you can add some sweetener to your pickles. I like mine spicy, as you're about to learn. But it's 50-50 for the liquid, so I've got 3 cups each because I'm making 2 jars. And I wasn't like fussy about the measurements or anything like that. You know, if we wind up needing to make a second solution to top it off, so be it. But really, this should be plenty. So I've got my 3 cups of apple cider vinegar. I just pour that into my pot here. Sure, get it all out of there. And 3 cups of my filtered water. Add that in. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the heat here while I tell you about the rest of the ingredients. Here I've got 4 cloves of peeled garlic. And that goes right into the pot. I also have a tablespoon of, well, really like a tablespoon and a half, almost 2 tablespoons of whole peppercorns. And there, it's all just mixed in here together. I've got a tablespoon of dried mustard seed. You won't be able to see those on the screen. They're too teeny tiny. And a tablespoon of coriander. That's my personal preference. You don't got to use coriander. You could actually just use a little bit of peppercorns and be done with it. The other thing I have, which you definitely can't see because it's mixed in, is chili flakes. As I said, I like my quick pickles to have a little bit of a kick to it. But today I used Biber, but you can use whatever you like. I don't know what it is about the Biber pepper, but I super love it. Which of course figures because it being one of my favorites, which means you can't get it all the time. And, you know, so you run out, but that makes it even better when you do get into it. So it's very seasonal and not always in the largest quantities. And I found that here in Ohio, I struggle to grow them myself. So, figures. But anyways, you just dump that all in and you're going to bring this whole mixture to a boil. And then the important part. I've got here pickling salt. Because I make a lot of pickles, we have a box of pickling salt pretty much all the time. But you can also use sea salt. Super, super important. Don't use anything iodized. Just salt. Just regular old salt. And basically, you want about a tablespoon of the salt per large jar. I know, we're not really good with the recipe here and the whole science, but I've got 2 jars and I've got like 3 tablespoons of salt. So maybe it's a little more than 1 tablespoon per jar. 1.5 tablespoons. Again, you can adjust it. You don't want to be like super wild with the salt though, or your pickles will be too salty. But you dump that right in, and that's going to go right in there to come to a boil with the rest of the stuff. Let me just give it a little stir. And it will take a minute, but we'll go ahead and talk about we'll go ahead and fill our jars while this comes to a boil. And you want it to come to a boil because first of all, that's what's going to help seal your jar down and begin the brining process with your pickles or with your vegetables. But that's not all we've got here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to tell you that I have fresh dill. And that is an important ingredient in my pickles. I love dill. Like for a lot of people, this might be too much dill. And I'm telling you, for me, you could double it up and it would still be incredible. I love dill. And you just cram it in there. You know how to, again, there's not a measurement, it's to taste. And that's another of the beautiful things about the quick pickles. You know, it's not baking where you have to be very precise. It's preserving. And that's what the quick pickles are. And that's what the brine does, is it preserves the vegetables. And for my asparagus, I'll show you. I'm just going to stick them into the jar. I might have more asparagus than I have jar, but we'll see. If not, and if I do, great. More snacks for me later. Might have it with a little bit of something for supper. Oh, I might have got this just right, you guys. That's always a lucky happenstance because, well, maybe I'm a little tight. Oh, what if I have 1 asparagus left over? That would be crazy. Nope, it's going to fit. So, green screen effects or not, There you, well, it's just going to disappear. Basically, my asparagus is right to the top, and it's right in there filling up the jar. Maybe I'll post a picture of it. That's pretty funny the way it's disappearing. But if I move my head, you can see some vegetables back here, and you can see how they've gone into the jar. And we'll show you a couple things that we're going to do as well. Probably going to regret how tight that is up here, but I can still squeeze stuff in on the side, and we're going to want to do that after this stuff boils and infuses together a little bit. Give it a little bit of a stir just to make sure it's delightful. It is, because it's vinegar and water and spices. Can't really go wrong with that. I mean, probably some people could, but not me. Oh, one little piece of dill escaping. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just, oops, look at this, guys. An asparagus was hiding in my radishes. Squeeze it in. Dun-da-da. All right. So now I'm going to take my radishes, and we're going to ignore that part and just throw it right in there. Radishes are awesome because they get crispy, and when you get the brine, they, I don't know what the technical term is, but they debitterify. Not that I mind. I actually like that tart of the raw radish, and daikon is milder than your regular red radish, so that's duly noted. But so they are great, like just shredded up or into little matchsticks, tossed on your salads and stuff. But man, they make some incredible pickles, and they go fantastic on the sides with stuff. They're amazing with tacos, spectacular with your stir fries. Great on the side with a little bit of meat. I almost could have had a little more radish, but we're not going to worry about it. I don't have to, again, you don't got to be fussed. It doesn't have to be crammed in there tight like you would if you were, when we get around to fermenting. This is not fermenting. This is quick pickle. Fermenting, you have to like compact and squish and squeeze. So we'll get to that as well. But that's it for this part. So now all we have to do is wait for this to boil and come together a little bit, and that will prepare us for step 2. So we'll be right back as soon as that happens, and we'll get to it. I'm going to take a quick pause and get myself a beverage, maybe an afternoon coffee. All right, everyone, here we are. Our brine has had a nice little boil going, and so the next step is, remember those garlics that I put in there? I'm going to fish them out and throw 2 into each jar. Try and push it down amongst my things so it gets into the jar a little bit. So 2 per jar seems good to me. Make a hole by squeezing my asparagus around. Down there. There you can see, even with the green screen, you can see the garlics floating in there. Whoops. Oh, it's that kind of day, I suppose. And you throw 2 garlics in here. And you can always throw more garlic in if you want, but at least 2. And then now's the hard part. If you're smart, you have a funnel. If you're like me, you've lost that funnel like 10 times, and today you couldn't find it. So we're just going to carefully scoop our brine in. And you want it to cover your vegetables. And it doesn't take too long. But as you're scooping, make sure you're getting some of those pickled spices that you put in there. That would be the coriander, the peppercorns, and the mustard seed. And we're not straining stuff out here, so that's an important thing to note. I do keep the heat going while that happens, but while we're doing this scooping. But basically that's the next step. We're gonna keep, I'm almost there. We can show you the radishes, and we'll screw our lid on and it'll pop right down. So Sorry for the silence there. I know that, you know, when we're talking on YouTube, we should keep talking, but it just wasn't happening there for a second. Careful not to burn yourself, but like I said, you want to make sure things stay submerged. You get your little lid, place it on top, screw down this lid, and let it cool down just a smidge on your counter to come to a little bit of room temperature, and then you're going to stick it right into your refrigerator. Go ahead and turn this off because we are ready to start scooping. Sometimes if we don't use up all the brine, we have these little teeny mini, like, I don't know, I think they're like half cup ball jars that we had. I think we bought them for like, oh, I don't know, way pre-keto times, and used to make individual servings of like applesauce. And now we don't have a real use for them. And they're kind of good because then you can always just find like any little vegetable you got in and make like 1 or 2 jars of quick pickles just to top it all off and finish up your brine so you don't have to waste anything. But you can also just go and dump this in your backyard in the garden somewhere, and it's great for the yard, so no loss regardless of what you need to do. I know that we've talked about the fermented foods and the kimchi. I'm also going to show you when we do dilly beans, we'll do a canned pickle of the dilly beans, but also a fermented dilly bean. And other than that, which are the other recipes that you guys want to see now that we've got you down with the basics of the quick pickle? Because I'm sure that you, my lovely subscribers, have questions and ideas or interests that you would like to see. You always have such awesome questions during the live stream, so I'm always interested in your ideas. And we've had a great Cheese Friday string going, with more to come on those, because, well, there are infinite varieties of cheese and different brands of the same varieties. So we'll never run out of fun material. And when it comes to coffee, again, another thing that, well, I'll just never be tired of it. So I know another thing that we are going to talk about, and I'm glad to see that a couple other channels have already addressed it because it has come up a few times online, and that is the whole fat question. And I've got a couple things going, especially some stuff from one of our doctors at the Cleveland Clinic who has a book out, and I'll be putting that together for you so you have some good resources. And I've talked to a couple of homesteading persons, so we might be doing some exciting things in the future. The other thing I'm going to do is show you how to make your own homemade sriracha type sauce. So not actually sriracha, but it's pretty close. In fact, I actually think it tastes even better. But sriracha is a fermented chili sauce, and that'll be another of this little fermented series we'll do since now that the spring has come. And there you go. Now we have 2 jars, one of our asparagus and one of our radish. They will be delightful. They do have to sit in the fridge for like 3 days, so obviously we're not trying them right now. I think I did forget to mention at the beginning when I mentioned that a lot of recipes will tell you to use the distilled white vinegar, and I said I liked the taste of the apple cider vinegar better. Fair warning, the apple cider vinegar can darken your vegetables so they won't be quite as brilliant as the distilled white vinegar. But like I said, for me, taste surmounts that. So that's basically it. That's it for quick pickles. Was that not so incredibly simple or what? But that's it. So we'll put it in the fridge, and in the maybe when we finish putting kimchi together, these will be ready, and we'll go ahead and we'll take a little bite and taste them while we go. See you later. Bye-bye.